Emma never imagined that a simple weekend getaway could stir something so deep inside her. Yet from the moment she began planning it, a quiet restlessness settled under her skin, a tension that made her evenings stretch longer, her thoughts heavier, as if each moment of stillness gave her mind space to wander to things she didn't fully understand. The Oregon coast with its misty shores, jagged cliffs, an endless horizon was supposed to bring her peace, a break from the constant hum of Seattle life, deadlines, crowded streets, the never-ending ping of notifications. But even as she packed her bag, her mind returned again and again to Michael, the coworker who had become, without her realizing, the calm in the center of her otherwise chaotic days. Michael was steady, the kind of presence that could shift a room without trying, the one she shared inside jokes with during slow afternoons when the office felt suffocating, the one she confided in about frustrations she barely admitted to herself, the one whose calm seemed to seep into her bones. When she booked a small cabin by the water, she told herself it was practical, a place to breathe, a temporary escape. Yet beneath that rationality lingered a quiet part of her that feared facing the weekend alone, and, more than that, feared the empty space where he might not be. Her feelings for him hadn't appeared overnight. They had grown slowly, quietly, through laughter, long conversations over coffee, and moments that seemed insignificant at the time but had quietly stitched themselves into her heart. She admired the steadiness he brought into every room, the care behind his gestures, the patience in his listening. Now, with the weekend approaching, admiration had evolved into a fragile, thrilling hope that maybe somehow he felt the same pull. Sitting on her bed, she stared at her phone, fingers hovering over the keyboard. The message was simple, an invitation to join her for a weekend by the coast. Friendly on the surface. Beneath it, a quiet plea. She hesitated, breath-catching, before pressing send. Her chest fluttered painfully. She scolded herself for feeling exposed. After all, people invited coworkers on trips all the time. Didn't they? But she knew this was different. She cared what he thought. Too much. When his reply came within minutes, she let out a sigh of relief. He said he'd love to join her, that a quiet weekend sounded perfect. Relief washed over her, warm and dizzying, mingled with embarrassment and excitement. She tried to distract herself with packing, folding clothes carefully and double-checking essentials. But her mind drifted to memories, the long evening at the office where they had talked about dreams and regrets, the time he helped her carry heavy boxes without being asked, the gentle attentiveness he showed when she spoke. She remembered the day they first met, how steady and kind he seemed, how he made her feel lighter without trying. Her admiration, once safe and platonic, had grown into something softer and far more insistent. Still, fear lingered. Fear of losing the friendship they shared, of risking it with unspoken feelings. She didn't regret inviting him, not for a second. The morning of their departure arrived bright and gray. Low-hanging clouds blending with the mist rolling in from the ocean, carrying the scent of wet earth and salt. The drive south felt intimate, with soft music playing and raindrops tapping against the windshield in a rhythmic, soothing pattern. Conversation flowed easily, deeper than usual, revealing fragments of themselves they rarely shared. Michael spoke of childhood memories, old ambitions, and details that made Emma feel honored and trusted. She reciprocated, letting slip pieces of herself she usually guarded. Every glance, every accidental brush of hands, sent sparks through her chest, small but insistent, leaving a warmth she couldn't quite name Dot as the highway curved closer to the cliffs. She noticed him staring at the water, thoughtful. She wondered what he saw there, what he felt. Did he sense the same quiet pull, the same curiosity and hope she carried? She found herself stealing glances at him whenever she thought he wasn't looking, noticing how the light played in his hair, the softness in his eyes, The way he occasionally tapped the steering wheel, absent-mindedly. They stopped at a tiny roadside cafe tucked into the misty hills. Watching him laugh at one of her stories made her chest tighten. Their hands brushed once, twice, and each fleeting touch lingered far longer than it should. Neither spoke of it, yet neither could ignore it. Over steaming mugs of coffee, she noticed the way the light hit his hair, the slight furrow in his brow when he thought, the warmth in his eyes when he smiled. Every small detail etched itself into her memory, anchoring her feelings more firmly. By the time they reached the cabin, hidden among wind-bent trees perched on cliffs plunging into the Pacific, the world felt sharper and slower at once. The ocean stretched endlessly, waves rolling rhythmically, crashing and hissing as though breathing. The cabin smelled faintly of cedar and damp earth. Inside, a fireplace sat cold and dark, logs stacked neatly and waiting. She lingered over small details, the way the curtains fluttered slightly, the faint smell of salt carried on the wooden floorboards, the uneven creak of the stairs. Emma's thoughts were a jumble of anticipation, uncertainty, and nervous hope she couldn't quite name. She wanted the weekend to unfold naturally, but part of her wished she could rid his mind, even once. The first night brought soft, enveloping peace. They unpacked, brewed tea, lit a candle, and stepped onto the porch, wrapped in blankets. The waves whispered below, the sky stretched vast and dark, and for the first time in months, Emma felt genuinely at peace. Sitting beside Michael, sharing quiet moments with no need for words, she realized something profound, even if nothing more happened. The connection between them was already rare, a quiet treasure in a chaotic world. Yet beneath that peace, she wanted more. The next morning dawned crisp and bright, carrying the scent of salt, pine, and damp earth. Barefoot along the shoreline, they walked side by side, talking about childhood memories, half-formed dreams, and unspoken fears. Every glance and subtle smile carried weight. Emma felt the pressure of her own feelings pressing against her chest, urging her to speak before the moment slipped away. She noticed sunlight flickering on his hair, the way the breeze ruffled his shirt, how the waves mirrored her racing heartbeat. Each wave lapping at her feet echoed the rhythm of anticipation building between them. Finally, she stopped, turning to face him, hands trembling. She confessed everything, the quiet way her feelings had grown, how she tried to ignore them, how she didn't want to hide anymore. Her voice shook, her heart raced. For a long, breathless moment, Michael looked at her, not confused, not distant but steady, the way he always was. Then he admitted he felt the same, that something had been quietly growing between them, and he hadn't wanted to assume or push before she was ready. Relief and joy washed over her so suddenly she almost laughed aloud. A gust of wind signaled an approaching storm. They returned to the cabin, but the walk felt warmer, calmer, infused with a new understanding. Inside, they moved slowly through breakfast, sharing smiles and small gestures now brimming with meaning. Pouring coffee, holding doors, brushing past one another, all ordinary acts, suddenly carried weight, a delicate intimacy filling the space between them. Emma found herself lingering a little longer when he moved, noticing the subtle brush of his sleeve or the warmth radiating from his shoulder. The storm rolled in, rain pattering in sheets against the roof and windows. Wrapped in blankets, they watched the waves crash violently below, the ocean tossing and churning beneath the gray sky. The wind whipped branches against the cabin walls, leaves clinging to windows, and in the rhythmic pounding of rain, Emma felt her pulse align with the tumult outside. The storm's roar matched the quiet excitement lingering in their hearts. The silence between them hummed with warmth, not uncertainty. Something unspoken had settled, a quiet, promising connection that felt fragile yet enduring. Emma realized that love didn't always arrive like a blaze of fire. Sometimes it crept quietly through conversations, shared moments, and the courage to speak when the heart demanded it. The future was uncertain, but in that moment, sitting beside Michael, listening to the storm, feeling the warmth of his shoulder, she understood something profound. Some truths reshape you the moment they're spoken. Some beginnings whisper, not shout. And this, whatever it was, felt like a beginning.